Howdy. Howdy. Good evening. My name is Dr. M.K. Anand. I am the Vice President for Faculty Affairs at Texas A&M University. I would like to welcome you to 2022 National Academy of Engineering reception for Texas A&M University. It is my honor to recognize two outstanding faculty members of Texas A&M tonight, Dr. Mladen Kezonovic, Electrical Engineering, Dr. Vijay Singh, Biological and Agricultural Engineering. Many engineers aspire to receive election to National Academy of Engineers, but only few are chosen to receive such an acknowledgement. Having spent many years working in the College of Engineering, I know many believe this is one of the highest honors that they can receive in their career. Our two Texas A&M NAE electees are among 111 members and new members and 22 international members who will be inducted in October. Once inducted, it will bring our numbers to a total number to 30 National Academy of Engineering members in the Texas A&M University. It is no secret Texas A&M has faculty who bear many accomplishments. Our 4,224 faculty members as of fall 2021. Members also include 4 members of the National Academy of Medicine, 14 members of the National Academy of Science, 14 members of the National Academy of Inventors, and 2 Nobel laureates. And those of you who are in the audience, please rise and be recognized. All the National Academy members and Nobel laureates, if you are there, please rise and be recognized. Tonight, we will hear about contributions both of our Texas A&M NAE electees have made to their fields of work. Indeed, they have raised the bar and are an inspiration to all of us. Please join me. Let's give a Texas-sized applause to our two NAE inductees. At this time, I would like to invite Dr. Timothy Scott, Interim Provost and Executive Vice President, to come forward for remarks.
Howdy. I guess smart people don't say howdy very often. Howdy. Very good. I'm a biologist, and I'm hoping that osmosis is really at work here, that some of the brain power may ooze to all of us. But it's a pleasure to be with you tonight. We are privileged to be joined by 2 of our Board of Regents, Maddie Rigsby and Greg Graham here, that came to wish you well on behalf of the board of Texas A&M University System. Thank you. I want to congratulate my friend N.K. Anand for his recent appointment as Vice President for Faculty Affairs. He's hit the ground running. He has stopped saying, I've only been in the job a week or 2 weeks, because now he's just picking up speed, so we're glad to have him on board. It's a privilege and honor for me on behalf of the Office of the Provost to recognize our 2 new National Academy members, Mladen Kezonovic and Vijay Singh. It is among the highest honor that our nation bestows. It's one of the highest global professional honors that an engineer can receive. New members are elected by their peers who also happen to be current NAE members, and this would include our own president, M. Catherine Banks, who was elected in 2014. Our university has strong representation in all of the national academies, and that's not just limited to engineering. The National Academy of Science, the National Academy of Medicine, and the National Research Council. This showcases what it takes every day at our university, finding solutions to global problems and unlocking answers to the most complex questions emerging from science, medicine, engineering, and research. The NAE exists thanks to a congressional act of incorporation signed in 1863 by President Abraham Lincoln. And I think that's powerful because we also think about the Morrill Land Grant Act that established Texas A&M. Therefore, the NAE is directed whenever called upon by any department or agency of the government to investigate, examine, experiment, and report upon any subject of science or art. In February's NAE elections brings the total U.S. membership to 2,388 and the number of international members to 310. Texas A&M's prominence in engineering, science, medicine is demonstrated with research expenditures well over $1 billion in the fiscal year 2020. We rank 14th in the nation with National Science Foundation. The newest NAE members elevate our university. They enrich our academic community, they enhance our research standings, and they propel us towards excellence. You help boost Texas A&M to its current position as the largest public university in the nation with one of the largest research portfolios. I celebrate each one of you for earning your place among the ranks of the world's finest engineering scholars, and you join dozens of elite engineers elevated to National Academy membership in the decades before you. But tonight, this is your night. We recognize you. You've earned it, and I congratulate you, Dr. Nunn.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. I'd like to invite Dr. John Hurtado, Interim Vice Chancellor and Dean of Engineering, to speak on behalf of Dr. Mladen Kezanovich's achievements.
Is this on? Yeah, great. Yeah, that's all right. Thank you very much. I'm very excited to see so many people here to celebrate Dr. Mladen Kezanovic and Dr. Vijay Singh. This is such a great honor for all of us, and I think it speaks so well to the university, speaks so well to the College of Engineering. Thank you, Dr. Anand. And so I want to begin by congratulating both of the newest NAE members for receiving this prestigious distinction. To speak a little bit about Dr. Kezanovic, he is being recognized for his contributions to automated analysis of power systems, faults, and leadership in education and protective relaying. Dr. Kezanovic is highly valued by his colleagues and his collaborators, and I know that students value the opportunity to study with an internationally renowned expert. Texas A&M University benefits greatly from the exceptional students that Dr. Kezanovic attracts from around the world to prepare for careers in academia and in industry. And for more than 30 years, he has been instrumental to our many successes in the College of Engineering and this university. Dr. Kezanovic is a Regents Professor, and he is holder of the Eugene Webb Professorship in the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. He leads the Power Systems Control and Protection Laboratory with a mission to provide the best possible education and hands-on research environment relevant to present and future power system control and protection concepts and solutions. In 2012, Dr. Kezanovic was the founding director of the Smart Grid Center, and he continued there until 2019, working to modernize our electric grid infrastructure. His expertise in areas such as computational intelligence, data analytics, smart grids is reflected in the more than 600 papers he's published, 10 books and book chapters he's written, and more than 140 lectures that he has presented worldwide. Dr. Kezanovic has worked in the energy industry in the United States and Europe, and over his impressive career with us at Texas A&M, he has led more than 120 research projects and supervised more than 60 graduate students. Dr. Kuzunovic is to be commended for attracting tens of millions of dollars in research funding throughout his career for projects that help strengthen our nation's power grid, improve our ability to predict and prevent outages, and prepare us all for the future. He is active as a volunteer chair for the IEEE Power and Energy Society Fellows Committee, and also participates in the U.S. Committee of SIGRE, an international organization of power and energy professionals. There, he received 3 Best Paper Awards and holds the title of Fellow and Honorary Member. In summary, Dr. Kuzunovic's impact adds up to represent a most deserving membership in the National Academy of Engineering. And now it is my privilege to bring forward Dr. Mladen Kuzunovic.
Hi, everybody. It's an exceptional evening for me and my wife, Vesna. Thank you all for coming. What can I say? I'm humbled, and I'm honored, definitely. But I want to share with you what went through my mind when I actually realized what's happening, that I was recognized, right? As it happens to be, you receive a mail, express mail, apparently, that tells you of the outcome right before the press release. My mail went to the department, and I learned about this from the press release first time. All right. But nevertheless, this is what went through my mind. People that I have associated with over time, and that actually motivated me and helped me and all of that. And of course, the first group, which is relatively small, is my family. My wife, my kids, Milica and Misho, that are located in Austin and San Antonio. Our grandkids, by the way, they are all kind of a 4.5, Emma, and just turned 2, Oscar, and about to turn 2, Miles. I think it's a hectic time now, so I'm not sure whether they are watching this because it's a bedtime for the kids, right? But you know, without the family support, you really, I mean, you can't do things that you do, particularly the way how I was doing things. I would go at night, you know, back to my lab. I would travel a lot, 6 million miles on American alone. Every corner of this world except the Antarctica. And my goal from now on is to develop collaboration with Antarctica. And I'm not sure how exactly, but somehow I hope to do so. The other group is so large that I cannot even imagine how large this group is. It's the professionals that I associated with. And you can imagine with all of this travel and around the country and all of that, I met, I mean, literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of professionals that I developed a relationship with. This was not just going to a conference and saying hi to somebody that you don't know. You going to a conference and meet somebody that comes to the same conference over and over, and you develop this relationship. And it helped a lot. People motivate you, challenge you, whatever, you know, and so you excel. And finally, the Aggie family, the people at Texas A&M. I need to give you a little history, a brief history. I think I have only half an hour, right? All right, so this history is going to be short. I actually was recruited by A&M after graduating in 1979, and I turned down that offer. I was given an offer, I turned it down. I went back to the country where I originally come from, which is former Yugoslavia at the time, the city of Sarajevo. That's where I was born. So I worked there for a few years, to be precise, about 5 years. And then I decided to go for a visiting position in the United States. So A&M offered a visiting position at the time. So I came, unfortunately, like we, facing certain things at this time, there was a turmoil in former Yugoslavia, and that resulted in a war in 1992. That was pretty, nasty war. And so, long story short, we stayed. And I'm now reflecting a little bit on everything that has happened ever since. First of all of the administrators, as it happens to be, that were helpful at the time. The first person that interviewed me was Dr. Jones, if anybody remembers him, Dr. House after that, and then I think it was Dr. Patton and Dr. Georgiadis, Dr. Singh here, Dr. Begovic here, and they were all supportive. That doesn't mean that we agreed on everything. They can attest, at least the two that are here, that we didn't. But it was very stimulating. When people challenge you, that's the same as when they support you. It just gives you a boost of some sort. And so I appreciate that. But really, the faculty, the colleagues, is what made it all happen across the A&M system, not just across the campus. I collaborated with more departments and colleges that you can imagine across the system. And even with some, under the quotes, nemesis over in Austin and other places, I had a first IUCRC, NSF, if you know what that is, the Industry University Cooperative Research Center, with UT Austin on electrical vehicles about 15 years ago when we didn't even know what the heck is going to happen with electrical vehicles, and so on. Now, the last point I want to make, because I think I'm running out of time a little bit, is my students. And that is really where everything revolves around. And I don't need to preach this to the choir. We love our students. We motivate them. They motivate us. But one thing that I need to say is I learned from them. I truly learned from them. Those are bright minds, young minds, a little bit faster than I am, and they just challenge you continually, every day. And you know how it is. You need to answer to something that your students are asking. You can't, so you kind of grow with them. And we moved on, and some come, some leave, and whatnot, and we stay in a good, relationship and all of that. And so that's really the jewel of this university and of the college and the department and whatever you want to call it, is our students. And so with that note, I would like to kind of wrap it up here. Thank you again for coming. I know you're all kind of busy people and everything else. And so seeing you all here is amazing. It's something that I will not forget ever. And so thank you once again, and this is the end of what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kazanovic. That was really inspiring. I would like to invite Dr. Mark Hussey, Interim Vice Chancellor and Dean of Agriculture and Life Sciences, to speak on behalf of Dr. Vijay Singh's achievements.
Howdy. It's an honor to be here this evening to celebrate these faculty and their incredible accomplishments. For me to see Dr. Vijay Singh join the National Academy of Engineering is very special. as I remember back just a couple years ago, right? When we were working to try to recruit him to join us here at Texas A&M University. And so I'm really honored to have been part of that piece of history. As you know, Dr. Singh has had a distinguished career at Texas A&M. He's a university distinguished professor, Regents Professor, and holds the Caroline and William N. Lear Distinguished Chair in Water Engineering. He has a joint appointment with the Department of Biological and Agricultural Engineering and the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering, and he's made vital contributions across both of our colleges. The Academy elected Dr. Singh based on his work of wave modeling and development of entropy-based theories of hydrologic processes and hydroclimatic extremes. And I apologize to the engineers in the room for dumbing that down so something I could understand. Hopefully I didn't misspeak too much. These contributions have found a multitude of applications, with many more I'm sure to come. Dr. Singh's work has helped engineers account for the flow of water down slopes and over paved surfaces. It has helped to make communities safer by helping engineers design ways to mitigate flooding, make water sources more resilient, and identify risks from drought or pollution. His work has helped agriculturalists worldwide manage water systems in both arid and semi-arid regions. But really, his research accomplishments over his career that span 5 decades and 5 universities are really only part of the story. He has supervised 62 doctoral and master's students and taught 41 different courses. I hope I added that up correctly, but it's a lot. He's the author of 34 textbooks and numerous peer-reviewed journals and other publications, and has received more than 100 awards for his research, service, and teaching. These awards include the Crystal Drop Award from the International Water Resources Association, the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Environmental and Water Resources Institute of the American Society of Civil Engineers. He's a member of 12 national and international science academies. And Dr. Singh has been elected Dr. Singh has said that being elected to the National Academy of Engineering was actually the capstone of his career. But really, to me, this only begins to cover what Dr. Singh has done to serve our society and make a difference worldwide. Dr. Singh truly embodies Texas A&M's core values, those of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, and respect. And as I learned last week when we were visiting, I think establishing a school in India, that of selfless service. So with that, thank you for all that you're doing, Dr. Singh, and I would ask you to come forward and make a few remarks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Asi. You know, I work on entropy, and tonight I find that the entropy is very low. So there is not really a whole lot for me to speak. In any event, I want to thank Provost Scott and Vice President Anand for organizing this reception. And also I want to take this opportunity to thank Peggy Sampson for her organizational skills and generosity, as well as patience. I don't know how many emails she and I had exchanged with each other over the past few days. And every time I sent an email, almost instantaneously she responded. And I kept adding the names, But without any hesitation, she said, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of this thing. So Peggy, I would like to thank you very much. First of all, when I look at the members of National Academy of Engineering, many of whom are sitting here, but also outside of Texas A&M University, I find myself in awe of their monumental contributions that have enriched their profession and elevated the professional practice. I think these people are the real stalwarts on whose shoulders we stand today, and therefore I'm delighted, humbled, and honored to join their ranks. I have worked, as Dr. Hussey pointed out, at 5 institutions, but of all these institutions, Texas A&M is a very special place. And of course, he, along with Dr. Iskaski, and he's sitting over here, were responsible for hiring me. So if there was anything wrong that went with, I think these 2 gentlemen are to be blamed for. But this is a great institution, and Aggieland, of course, is a great place to live in. So I'm very grateful that I got an opportunity to work here. I'm almost completing 16 years, but this period of little less than 16 years has been perhaps the most productive part of my professional career. So I'm very, very grateful to Gary, you, and Mark for recruiting me here. But this productivity was made partly possible by the distinguished chair that occupies. So I'm very grateful to the Lehrer family for endowing this distinguished chair. With the unconditional support and love of my family, and particularly my wife, who is no more, this really would not have been possible, and I will not be standing over here. So I'm particularly grateful to my family and my daughter Aarti, my son-in-law Vamsi, my son Vinay, and my daughter-in-law Sonali, and my 3 grandchildren, Ronan, Kaden, and Devin, my sisters and brothers, and my nephews and niece. And by the way, one of my nephews is here, and I would like, and my niece Niti, and I would like my nephew and Niti to please rise and be acknowledged. And also my relations, and one of my relations here, Sitaram, you please rise. And I have several friends who have made a difference in my life, and who are sitting over here from Texas A&M University. But I would particularly like to acknowledge my friend Alok, who has traveled all the way from Houston to join us this evening. Alok, please rise. So coming back to so, it is your family that makes your life worth living. They are the people who enrich your life, and they certainly have done in my case. I owe a debt of gratitude to all my teachers, right from primary school to college, who taught me not only what I learned through the courses and the lectures, of course, which they gave, but also they teach you the human values, and they inculcate in you a sense of duty, not only toward your profession, but also toward your society. And I learned several D's which my teachers, particularly in the college, taught me. And those D's include: you dream, you desire, you determine, you devote, you dedicate, and of course you discipline, and you be diligent, and then of course you perform your duty. So if you put all these D's together, that's what essentially constitute what you call as or fate, or the architecture of fate. Also, I'm very grateful to all my students, my colleagues, my collaborators, my postdoctoral fellows, my research scholars, and particularly my PhD students who always asked me very probing and challenging questions, which I was not always ready to answer. And they are the ones actually who motivated me to go deeper into the subject. So when I meet them next time, I will not feel embarrassed and will be able to answer. And so they basically provide a lot of motivation to do research besides helping you accomplish what you wish to accomplish. And there are several of my students who started working on the concepts that were pretty much unknown in my area, in the water engineering area. For example, when I started working on entropy theory, I think mine was the only group in the United States working on the entropy theory and its applications in water engineering. And then came along some graduate students, I put them to work. And this is how we were able to make a contribution in that area. The same thing happened when I started working on the Kapula theory. At that time, actually, there was no group, including other branches of engineering, that was engaged in doing work on Kapulas in their applications in hydrology, in hydraulics and water engineering area. And the same thing happened in this case. So I learned a great deal from my postdoctoral fellows, from my research scholars, as well as from my collaborators and these graduate students, a lot more than they will ever realize. So in short, let me conclude by saying that I learned from my teachers, from my family members, from my students, and all other associates in one form or another, much more than they would ever realize. So once again, also I would like to say that is the way the system works in the United States is that you have to get money. And of course, as you know, Texas A&M is no exception. Most universities only provide you an office space and of course, telephone, and that's all there is to it. And of course, your 9-month salary. So you are not paid for 12 months either. But in any event, which means you have to bring money, not only to support yourself during the summer month, but also to hire graduate students, to hire postdoctoral fellows. And so I would like to acknowledge the organizations from which I received funding. And these organizations include National Science Foundation, U.S. Department of Agriculture, Army Research Office, Army Corps of Engineers, U.S. Department of Interior, U.S. Geological Survey, Environmental Protection Agency, U.S. Department of Education, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, UNESCO, and several state agencies. And so I would like to acknowledge the funding that I received, and through my expression of appreciation to these organizations, I extend my gratitude to the American taxpayer, without which, of course, we will not be funded. So with that, my congratulations to my colleague, Professor Kazunovich, for his election to the Academy. And once again, thank you, Provost Scott and Vice President Anand and Peggy Simpson once again.
Thank you all for attending tonight online and in person. This was live streamed. And in person to celebrate some of the outstanding faculty who have at Texas A&M. I look forward to following the great work I know Dr. Kazanovich and Dr. Singh will continue to do. Please enjoy refreshments, fellowship, and camaraderie. And I would like to thank our Faculty Affairs Office and Ms. Peggy Sampson for putting this show together. And please come forward to take pictures with family and friends with the honorees. And please, you're welcome to take the table flower arrangements. Okay, guests are welcome to, yeah. Right? Yeah, you're welcome to take, yeah. Thank you, Gigem.